Welcome back to London Road Restoration. This is episode 2, and we are going to be continuing to disassemble our mixer. Stay tuned, and you're gonna see all the intricate parts and all of that old dirty grease that we need to get out there in order to get this machine humming along and working like it's new. Stay tuned. All right, guys, I took another component off here. That this little sucker that hangs out right on the side at the front. If you, on the older models, again, unscrew it, you're able to take this gear out. Now, we're also able to get in there and really get the rest of the grease, again, which is plentiful. So it's a nice perk with these machines. A lot of them are very easy to take. Easy is maybe the wrong word, but there's it's easy to get the compartments free so you can really clean it and take care of it the way it should be. All right. Okay, guys, normally I would leave the electrical to the experts. However, in this case, because we know it's not plugged in, we're going to be able to do this as a pretty simple repair. So as I mentioned, these older cords, rather this vintage of a machine doesn't have the nice, clips to clip in and out. A newer machine, you could just go clip, clip, unclip, and put the new one in. Now, this is the new cord that I purchased. Here's why it's safer. We've got our regular colors. We've got our white and our black electrical wiring. We got this extra green one, which is the grounding wire. Now, that's what makes this a lot safer for electrical fires. So we need to swap this out. Now, what we're gonna have to do here, since it's not gonna be quite as easy for us, is we're gonna need to cut this wire, and you wanna give yourself a little bit of room here. So I like to cut it right about there. All right, this fire hazard, we can throw it away. So then you're gonna wanna just take a look here. We need to expose these wires down here. Now it should just sort of pull off, which it does. There's some other fluff, and now we've got these two exposed, okay? So we've got this white wire, which was formerly white, looks a little dull now, and again, a black one, which also looks pretty dull. So what we gotta do next here is we need to expose the wire underneath here. So we need about, let's say 3/8 of an inch. So we're gonna strip this plastic coating that's over the wire. So these right here, these are wire stripper, wire cutter, it's a clamper, it's everything all in a tool all in one. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna kind of look at the gauge here at the front, and we're gonna try and figure out, and then we're just gonna pull. Okay, so that's pretty good, actually. Let's give ourselves just a little bit more room. All right. Oh, that one didn't want to do it for me. So clamp down and pull. Well, and it looks like I don't quite have the right gauge, so we'll go down one level. There we go. All right. That gives us it's given us actually about 1/2 inch. So we're gonna do the same thing on the other side. So let's get in here. There, and pull. Pretty good. About the same. Next thing we're gonna do is just take this. Mine are pretty close together, but if yours come out and they look all frayed and they're all over the place, give them a bit of a twist, okay? Get them all happily married back together. Okay. All right, guys, now it's time to deal with our new cord. So what we're gonna do is nip the end off the white and nip the end off the black, but don't touch that green one, okay? And what we're going to try to do here is get as close to the end as possible. We don't want to lose a lot of cord here, okay? So that's gone. I don't know why, but I felt like sound effects were necessary there. Okay, now, how we stripped on here over here, we got to do the same thing here, and let's attempt to do about the same amount. So, again, you get it in your wire stripper here, clamp it down, and pull. Look at that beautiful thing. All right. Now, I'm gonna go do the same to the black. So, and strip. Awesome. Okay. It looks like our white one needs just a little bit more. You can see they're not quite even, but no problem. In she goes. And strip. All right. Now, look at those as they've kind of fanned out. Let's give those another good twist. Keep them all nice and close together. Okay. Again, don't touch that green cord yet. We are going to mount that on one of these 2 screws. My suggestion would be probably the furthest screw. I think that would be the easiest, but let's deal with connecting the new cord to these old electrical pieces. So, all right guys, the final step here before we really clean off all the last little bits of grease and get down to spray painting is to remove the transmission. So you are going to need Phillips head screwdriver, and we are just going to take these 3 screws out. Still very greasy. Some leftover grease. Okay. Put those to the side. If you struggle to remember all of the parts and where they go, the best thing you could probably do is put all of these little guys into separate bags and label them. Okay, and then we just slowly pull that off. So there's the transmission right there. Now, again, as we see, boy, does that ever need to be cleaned off. So let's get the last remnants of grease off. We aren't going to attach the new power cord yet, not until after we spray paint. We don't want this beautiful white thing to get any color on it. So that is going to be installed upon assembly once the paint has had adequate amounts of time to dry. Okay, yeah, and that's pretty much it. All right, guys, a little piece here we've got to take off. Oh, again, very sticky. You can see this little dough in here. We're going to take this puppy off too, mainly just because we're going to have we're going to be able to clean it a whole lot better if it's loose. Now, it's a little hard to get this off. It may not be an option. Oh, there's a little screw right here, in fact. I'm gonna take that out, and then we can take this whole piece out. Okay, all the components are out, and we are going to be able to clean this big mess up. All right, stay tuned. Okay, so after we've done some epic degreasing, the next thing we need to do is scuff up these surfaces so that they're ready to take on some paint. It just gives the paint something to hold on to. Kind of go along here and you can feel the surface starts to get a bit sandy feeling. You can see a bit of paint's coming off. All that nice rust. So I'll just keep going around, give everything a good scuffing. A lot of that rust wanted to come off there too, which is kind of nice. Now we'll just keep going, make sure the whole thing's been roughed up. All right, so you will do this with all the pieces. Make sure you get all the spots. It's just gonna help that paint adhere a whole lot better, okay? And then we get to the fun part of taping up anything we don't want to be turned our new beautiful color, which I've chosen a very soft blue. So what we're gonna do is anything that's sitting down, we're not gonna worry too much about, and anything that is exposed, like especially this, is gonna be covered with some painter's tape. Okay guys, after you're done sanding, you're gonna wanna give everything a really good wipe down, okay? There will be just a fine film of dust, and we're getting close to painting, and we really don't want to have any of that dust stick onto the machine and dry. So, all right, after you've done that, you've wiped everything down. What we have to do next is take some painter's tape, and what we're gonna do is we're going to cover up any spots where we don't want paint to hit, okay? So like here, definitively this engine part here we don't want. So we do that, and then we get to use our spray paint. Look at this beautiful blue that I've purchased. That's my color of choice. So yeah, all right, we start taping and then the fun begins. So it's definitely not an easy task to do this part. It's actually quite tedious, but it will be worth it in the long run to take the time. So what I'm gonna do here is just tape, and then I'll trim anything I need to trim at the end, which, as you can see, I'll definitely need to trim. Right. Okay. I'm not too concerned about covering this area here. This is gonna fit into here. We don't want it to get a thick coat of paint on it. As you can see in the past, there was a little bit of paint got through. It wasn't the end of the world, mainly because it's hidden. But the reason you'll want to try to make sure that you don't have any paint in there is just, as mentioned, for being able to fit it back into the slot, okay? So I'm just gonna leave this like that for now. Come along and trim everything up. Okay. Any kind of painter's tape is gonna do. Doesn't matter if it's green, doesn't matter if it's blue. Just avoid duct tape. I think that would be far too sticky, and you'd have quite a bit of fun getting that off, not to mention the fact that it would leave an excessive amount of residue. So stick with a painter's tape of some form. And then I'm going to come around with an X-Acto knife here, and I'm going to trim all that up. Now this guy, again, not too worried about it, but we do have components that are going to be fitting back in, and it does have this piece that hangs down, so I'm just going to protect that right here. Just tuck that tape in like that. All right, and I think what I'm gonna do here is do this for now. And again, I'm gonna cut around. Okay, now, let's see here. We got a couple of holes here. Again, not that worried about those. We just need to make sure we don't have a bunch of drips, paint drips in there. So that's the part that would be the most concerning. So we're gonna cover this bit up here. Just make sure we keep all the gears very, very safe. Or not gears, apologies, but the components from getting too glagged up with paint. Okay. that. Now, this back end here, this is probably your hardest piece to tape up. We need to make sure this engine doesn't get spray paint in it. You know, this is the guts of the whole machine. So take your time when doing this one and make sure you've covered up everything. Keep in mind, if you need to do touch-ups later on, you can do touch-ups. It's a lot easier to apply more than to go ahead and be regretful of the spray paint you've applied. All right, so keep doing that, you guys. All right, guys, get yourself a knife like this and just come around the edge where you know you're going to want paint to hit, because we definitely want paint to get down all and around here, but we certainly want to make sure that our metal is covered. So this one's got a little bit of a lip here. Do that and cut along here. Start removing the pieces. Cover up anything that you think needs to be. All right. Go. Take that piece off there. It's pretty tedious, I'm not gonna lie. You'll probably have to grab some extra tape and reapply on certain parts. Again, take your time, it will be worth it. See, over on this side, there's a bit of a lip right here. It looks like this one had a bit of paint on it. That part didn't. We're just gonna cover it up. Of course, if I see after the fact that it needs to be painted, we will do touch-ups. Touch-ups are easy, we can do that. Okay, so keep coming around here. Good stuff. That should just be covering this area here. This is definitely the most tedious part. Come over here. I'll have to do a little bit of extra taping on that other one. But you can see here we can take off a lot of this excess, and then we will get down to the finer points of this. And you know what? If you scratch the paint right now, it just doesn't matter because we're gonna paint it again. So make sure everything is still covered that you want to be covered. These pieces kind of sitting up like this. That's okay, they won't get in the way of your painting. So, cutting around here, just get that excess off. Okay, making headway. All right, so, let's get that piece up. There. Now, I know that there's some pieces sticking up, but I know that everything is covered that I want to be covered. And I know that that's okay that that's sticking up because everything back here is going to get covered and everything in here is sheltered from the paint. So this guy needs a little bit of extra help. And you will just keep going like this, you guys, until you get everything covered that you want covered and you feel confident in your taping, okay? Again, don't rush this step. I'm really excited to start spray painting, of course, obviously. But I'm trying to remind myself that this preparation work is essential for a quality look at the end. Okay. You guys work on that and then we're gonna start spray painting. All right, it's the extremely exciting point in our journey together here, restoring this mixer. It's spray painting time. Now, safety is always absolutely #1 priority. Please make sure you are in a well-ventilated area and you're wearing a mask. I am at the edge of my garage with the garage door open and a mask on. You just don't want to take your chances with this stuff. I have spray painted before without a mask and felt really sick for a few days. So think about that. Now, we're gonna get started. Not have the lid fall off on us, that would be great. And we're gonna do a light coating, okay? So just like a I don't know about you guys, but I'm already in love with this color. Okay, so let's just leave that like that right now. What we may end up doing is coming back, giving a light sanding with a sandpaper with a very fine grit to catch any drips, and we may do another coat, okay? So keep spraying. Again, give it a good shake. Look at this unbelievably beautiful blue. I gotta tell you, there's nothing more satisfying than breathing life into an old piece of machinery like this. It's so much better than it ending up in a landfill. All right, so you can see we got a little bit of pooling happening here. We'll probably be coming back out here and doing a little bit of sanding. That's okay. All right, guys, there's the start of our seriously beautiful product. We're gonna leave this. Now, I recommend that this is left for 3 days before we even entertain starting to sand it. So that just gives it extra time to adhere and to cure. And then what we're gonna do is do any drips, especially as you can see, like right here, this is a pooling drip. That's why we give this a really good shake. We're gonna come back and we're gonna sand this. There's some drips here, we'll sand that. And we will give this another coat. And we will get that really beautiful bluey color. And if and then if the color isn't what you like, this is where you get to see it and say, you know what, I don't know if it's blue enough, or you know what, I wanted something a little more gray. You can pivot and you can change at that point. So let's leave this, leave it somewhere where it's not going to get a bunch of dust blowing on it. And yeah, in 3 days, let's come back and see where we're at.